make it easier for them and make the appointments more productive as well. Let's go back to that presentation. So the next step is the scheduling, and there's not really much for me to show you here. It's more about me talking to you about how this works. This is really what sets us apart, because it's the thing that we have the most experience with. We have been doing it for a long time, nearly 3 decades, and it's really grown from just a very simple system to a very complex system now, although it can be used for simple events as well. There are endless parameters and options and different ways of scheduling the appointment. The only things you must provide us with is the appointment length. Like I said, 6 to 15 minutes is typical. It doesn't have to be that, but that's typical. When those appointments are going to happen, and the order of scheduling. So the order of scheduling is how you want to schedule those requests that have been submitted. So, for example, I mentioned before about the mutuals. So you'd start with the mutuals, and then you might go to the top 5 buyer requests, and then schedule the next 20 seller requests, or do whatever complicated or complex system you want to do, we can do, or we can keep it really simple. Mutuals, buyers, sellers. Really up to you. We can also put other things in there, things like I mentioned before about the breaks. We can do limits, so minimum and maximum limits. You know, you only want sellers to have a maximum of 20 appointments, or the goal is for everyone to have at least 12 appointments, those types of things. So we put the parameters in, and then we push the magic button. Now the button can take between like 2 minutes and 20 minutes to run the appointments. We have one client who has 120,000 appointments, and that takes about 20 minutes to run. But most it's between 2 and 5 minutes. Once we have the parameters in there, we'll be talking to you the whole time. We go back and we look at the appointments with you. Perhaps it doesn't look like how you thought it was going to look, or maybe you want to try something a little bit different. We can just unrun those schedules, change the parameter, and rerun them again. No problem at all. Maybe you've got a sponsor that you want to give extra appointments to. You can go in and do manual manipulation after or before the appointments are even run, and schedule those for them. And the last thing is what we call the Robin Hood. And that is where we steal from the rich and we give to the poor, basically. But we're not stealing the good quality appointments from the rich. We're stealing the appointments with the lower priority from the people with the most appointments and giving them to the people with less appointments. So after the appointments have been scheduled, we've gone through them, we're happy with them, you're happy with them, we release those appointments to the delegates, to the attendees. There's lots of different ways that we can do this. There's the simple appointment list, which is just emailed to them, just a list of appointments. They can log into our platform and see their appointments. We could do a printed booklet. We have a system called Instamatch, which is basically letting them add, change and cancel their appointments after the first initial run is done. And then obviously today though, we're going to be talking about the virtual schedule. And that's what we're going to look at next. Just move my notes. So the evolution with the virtual appointments, we've been doing matchmaking and appointment scheduling, as you can see, for a long time. So it's a pretty natural evolution for us to just make them available online now. So a couple of things to keep in mind. I forgot to do in the next part, which is the video, I forgot to mention that we can integrate with other platforms as well, or they can integrate with us. And there are places for sponsorship opportunity as well. So I'm going to go and show you a video now. And this is how the virtual appointments work.
Okay, so what we're looking at here is the view that Fred Smith sees when he logs in. You can see over here on the right hand side is the countdown clock, and this has got just a few seconds left until the keynote starts over here on the left hand side. Now that it was going to start automatically. There we go. And I've got loaded in here just a video that is playing, and it's just a YouTube video, one of our promotional videos. So you can load a YouTube video or any other video that you like in here, or we can also do a live stream as well. A few housekeeping things. So obviously at the top here we've got our logo, and it's all branded with our colours. That would obviously be able to be changed to yours. Down the left hand side is the schedule for the person who's logged in. So we're starting with the keynote, then we're switching to Carmina Palace, and then we're going to Kentucky Department of Park. And then over on the right hand side is the countdown, and that's going to change automatically when we go to the next appointment. The top right hand side, we've got the log out button, obviously for logging out. The view own profile, so this is where the user can go to see what other people see about them. Close that, and we can also test the mic and camera, and that pops up here and just lets them go to the mic and camera settings and make sure that they're all set ready for them to go. So that's popped open now. And you can see that that's where I am. I can test that. I can test my microphone as well. 3 little dots down the bottom right hand side. Let me go to the settings, and in here I can see what my devices are that have been allowed. Okay, let's close out of that. Now we've got 50 seconds left in the keynote. Just a note over here, I have only allowed 3 minutes for the keynote and a couple of minutes for each of the appointments, just for demo purposes. Obviously, when you're doing it, your keynote or your speaker or your tech support session or whatever it is that you've got at the start, don't have to have one, would be a lot longer than that, and then your appointments are going to be between say 6 and 15 minutes usually. Right, now what I want you to notice here is that the user doesn't have to do anything. What happens is that we get the countdown, and then it is automatically going to take me into this appointment with Carmina Palace. And the countdown clock changes over here. Jitsi will open automatically. Here we go. It's opened. You can see me in there. And John Brooks is also logging in, which is actually Ed. And he's going to wave at us. Wave Ed, say hello. And so this is where they would normally conduct their appointment. So bottom left hand side of this screen that we're looking at here is where they can share their screen, and they can choose their entire screen or just their application window. They can also raise their hand, which is a handy little tool when there's multiple people in a meeting, and they can do their chat. And over here, this is where they can access the camera and the microphone. Notice now that we've got that 1 minute warning that's popped up, and that's for the just to let them know that they can start wrapping up their appointment now. Back over here, we can do the different toggle views. So we can toggle so we can see side by side, or just with the person that we're talking to, which is my preference, who's in front of us. Other options in here are that we can blur the background and view full screen, and we can also see, this is quite a handy wee thing up here, you can see how good the internet connection is for each person that's in the meeting. So my connection is good, and John's is also good, so it shows green. Now if there's a problem, it will show up as red. Okay, now we're about to switch to the next appointment, which is with the Kentucky Department of Parks. And so again, switches automatically. I don't have to do anything in here, it just happens magically. We can see that Arnold is here because it says active here. That means that he's logged into the system at some point, but he is not showing up for my meeting. So we don't really know why that would be. But the user, Fred, can just see that he is active, so maybe he's just running a little bit late. Bottom right hand side here, we've got this HubSpot, which is a tech support option. I'm just going to turn that camera off because that's a little bit confusing. There's a HubSpot right here, and that the person here can type in a question. Can you please help me with my camera? Now on the back end, that gets sent to a HubSpot that we are monitoring and you will be monitoring. And sometimes we can just help them out by typing the message, or sometimes we might need to give them a call, but that will just depend on the situation. Okay, so now we've got that little pop-up again telling me that I've only got a minute left in this appointment, so we'll just close out of that. So what I was showing you before with Carmina Palace is the profile information is all down here, the same as what we would have for in the appointment requests. It looks the same. Now Kentucky Department of Parks, they haven't filled out theirs quite so well, but that's okay. Now we're just going to have that last countdown, and we've got the last few seconds, and that's going to move us into the breakout sessions. So this is where they can go in and select their have a conversation with other people in an environment that's a bit more casual, I guess you'd say. So we've got some different breakout sessions in here. We've got addressing health equity and machine learning and medicine, and opening the door for patient access. So let's look at say we want to go to the addressing health equity breakout session. And that's going to open up another Jitsi meeting. And just a word on Jitsi, which is the video service that we're providing here. It's an open, doesn't require any download, which is great for our purposes. And it also means that it's also available, seems to be available in most countries around the world, which is also a very helpful thing. Okay, there we go. And so in here, this is more for a conversation with multiple people. So they can, this one's particularly limited to 15 people, but doesn't have to be. And it's just a way for them to have a more focused conversation. Okay, so that's how what the user sees. Now, if we go to the virtual meetings reports over here, this is for administrative users. What they can do in here is look and see all the different appointments that are happening for any particular appointment slot. So these are all the different appointments that have been scheduled. Red means that nobody has joined. Yellow means that one person has joined. And green means that both people have joined. And that's a really handy thing for administrators, because sometimes there seems to be a few no-shows in this kind of situation. What they can do then is they can just click on join meeting, and then they can just have a chat with Arnold and say, look, Darren hasn't shown up for his appointment, so we've been tracking him and he's missed the last 4 appointments, so I think he's probably no-showed for the whole event, something like that. We can also track their technical user logs as well to see what type of browser they're using and if they seem to be having any errors or any problems. So that is the appointment, the virtual appointment view in a nutshell. And back to the presentation. Okay, so what we're looking at here is the view that...
Okay, so as I said before, a couple of things I forgot to mention in there: sponsorship opportunities between appointments. At the top, we can do sponsorships, all different places for sponsorships. And it doesn't have to be Jitsi, it can be other platforms as well that we can integrate. And also, we could use Jitsi for the appointments and maybe Zoom or something else for your keynote speakers, that kind of thing. Okay, so given the current the world that we live in right now, something else, a benefit of having an appointment scheduling event is the social distancing and the contact tracing, the advantages of it. With an appointment scheduling event, you always know where everyone is, you know who they've met with, you can find out who those people are, and we can actually also keep people together in groups for so that they are not mixing with lots of different people, or as few people as possible. So just wanted to quickly mention that before we move on to virtual exhibiting. So we have a virtual exhibit area as well. So let me go and show you that. So this is the lobby for our virtual exhibiting area. When the user logs in, they can come up here and they can click on the button, and they can either see a video, like an orientation type of video, or it might be a real person there to greet them. Down the sides, we've got basically the other breakout rooms and seminar rooms that you saw in the virtual appointments video just now. And also down the back, we've got the exhibit hall. So the exhibit hall shows all the booths, and people can just wander around and click on the booth they think that they might like to see. But we think that one of the benefits of being a virtual event is that it is you can filter. So you don't have to see all those people that you don't necessarily want to see. So if we just click on this one here. So this is the booth that we have set up. It's all customizable to yours or to their specific requirements. They can have an on-demand meeting using the video chat here. We've got the resources down here. So that's the PowerPoints, the videos, the PDFs, that kind of thing. And they can also just have a chat with the exhibitor as well. So as you can see, we've really got a lot of options, particularly with the virtual appointments. Let's go back out here. So the three things that I want you to take away from this meeting is that we are customer focused, we have decades of experience, and we have tried and true software. Here are contact information for me and for Ed as well, Ed Noling, and our website is teameventmanagement.com. I'm going to see if there's any questions.
Bridget, I don't see any questions in the Q&A area, but I had a couple of questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so you showed kind of several modules of things as you were going through this. We've had questions over time about whether or not people could use different modules. Say, for example, they only wanted to use the matchmaking module. Could they use that in conjunction with some other tools they may be using?
Yes, we can do that. So that wouldn't be a problem at all. We can use the matchmaking and then just use somebody else's registration system is fine.
Got it. Another question that's come up a lot is what's your availability right now? A lot of the virtual event platform folks are full to the gills. So just asking, how are you in terms of availability over the next 3 months or so?
We're okay. We've been upsourcing, so we do have a little bit of space. So it would really depend on the the event and how complex it is and what would be involved in it. But we can certainly have a conversation with people and see if we can help them out.
Okay.
I see there's a question in here about pricing. So the pricing, it really depends on the event and on how many attendees you have. It starts at about $3,500 for a small, easy, simple event, and it can go up to, we've got some people that are paying, over $100,000 for a very complex event that involves basically one of our staff members being on their staff as well. So there's a range, and we would need to talk to people about what their specific needs are.
Got it. There was another question in there, maybe Ed answered it already, but another question in there, I think it went by real fast. Oh, it was around timing. So after in that meetings module there, when time is up for a meeting, does it cut people off automatically, or what does it do there?
It doesn't have to. So we can have breaks or like a travel time almost between appointments.
Okay.
And so we did do an event just recently where the appointment was 30 minutes long, but there was actually a buffer of 30 minutes between appointments as well. So you could carry on talking for up to another 30 minutes before the next appointment started.
Okay, now do you control, does the system control when that actually stops, or does the person meeting control that?
It can be either.
Okay, great.
At travel time or break time's a good place for doing sponsorship videos or ads or PowerPoints.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So for both of you, we got a minute left here. What have you seen people do from a networking perspective other than just the one-on-one meetings and that sort of thing? What are your clients doing that you would consider innovative around networking at events?
Well, one of our clients actually has many-to-one appointments. So they have, they call them I think it's called a pot, and they have a group of sellers who are all from the same region meeting with one buyer at a time, and it's kind of more like a round table, and they all sell their region to that one buyer, which is quite a neat way of doing things. and we use the appointment system for that, but it's you know, they all have their own individual profiles.
So there was a question about pricing, and the pricing, it really, we need to talk to you about that, because it can range anywhere from $3,500 per event up to, we've done some that are $120,000 where we're allocating a lot of personnel to help manage the event year round. So it's a wide range.
Good, good. Well, we're at the appointed time, so I want to thank both of you for being here with us, and Bridget in particular, out of you. I noticed that before it looked dark outside, it looked like it's getting light outside, so we've had you through the night. So thank you for taking the time to do this, okay?
Thanks very much for having us, Reggie.
All right, and I hope to see you guys down the road a bit.
Thank you.
No doubt.
All righty. All right, folks, we'll take another 15-minute break and get set up for the next session there. So go grab some coffee or some water or something. We'll see you back soon.